Well, g'day and welcome to JoeJoeMoto. Today I'm going to give you the top 5 tips on how to make money buying and selling motorbikes. Alright, so this video is centered around this bike here, Suzuki GS500F. I have just purchased it and I'm looking forward to getting it pulled down, cleaned up and ready to sell. And before we get into our top 5 things, you're probably wondering, who am I to be telling you guys how to make profit on motorbikes? So let's get into that first. Alright, so it all started probably 5 years before doing the motorbike thing, 10 or so years. Before that, I was doing cars all the way through that 10 years. And it was mostly Japanese import cars. You know, I'd buy them, drift them, enjoy them, drag race, whatever I wanted to do, and then flip them for a good profit, you know, make money while I was having fun. And that was that's going to be one of the top 5 things that I'll talk about later as well. So, cars before motorbikes. Now, motorbikes take up a lot less room, there's less outlay in money, but it is a little bit less in profit, but we'll get into that one a little bit later. Let's talk about the motorbikes. Alright, so the first bike was a little bit unintentional, the DRZ that I did the Cape York on in 2014. A lot of my long-term viewers will know all the bikes I'm about to go through, but that one I bought for a good price, did the trip on, did a few little bits and pieces here and there, and then sold it, and I made at least $1,000 on that one, which, you know, paid for the trip very easily. So that was probably the first bike. So the next bike was Little George, the little 125. What an absolute rocket that was. That was so much fun. Bought it for a good price, cleaned it up, sold it and made at least $1,000 on that one as well, and enjoyed it in the process. And again, that's one of the keys. After that, we had the ZZR 600. Now that one was, I think, only about $800. Again, tidied it up, did the few little things that it needed, rode it and enjoyed it, and then sold that one off. And again, at least $1,000 profit once I'd done all the little bits and pieces to it. After that one was a bit bigger of an investment, the R1. That one was probably about $2,500 to $3,000. I think I purchased that one initially for, I think it was about $2,000. And again, did all my little bits and pieces. I don't think I had to do tyres or anything on that one, and made a solid profit. I think that one was about $2,000 profit on it. And that leads me to the next one, probably my biggest profit and biggest outlay, but it was no work at all. So that was the CBR 1000RR. I only rode that thing once, but it was a beautiful bike. That one I made at least $2,500, and I can't remember the exact numbers for that one, but it was awesome. I didn't have to do a single thing to it. It was just buy it, tidy it up, and off it went. So that was a good little money maker, that one. The next bike was a GSXR 600. You guys have seen that one. There's a full video series on fixing that one up and getting it ready to sell. But that one was at least $1,000 again, even though there was a lot more work involved. It did cost me a little bit more. There was still at least $1,000 profit in that one. And again, enjoying it, riding it, doing all those things. Now coming into more recent times was the GTR 1000. That thing I did a whole lot of Ks on. And again, I would have bought it, good money, sold it off, and all of the profit that I made would have paid for all of the trips. So it was well worth it. That one again, I think was about $1,000. So minimum of $1,000 profit on all of the bikes so far. And finally, the last bike was the VL 800, the cruiser. I just had to have a go at a cruiser, so I bought that one, sold it off just recently. Again, at least $1,000, even with, I think I put about 10,000 Ks on that one, doing the Uluru ride and all of the other adventure ride, camping rides I've done on it. About $1,000, so that paid for a lot of the trips that I did on it, and it's so much fun, so well worth it. So that leads us to this bike here. So our top 5 list is going to be kind of like in order, the process of what you need to do to make bulk profit on buying and selling motorbikes. So as I said, looking at the Suzuki GS500 we've just bought, trolling Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace, you know, bike sales, all of those things, and looking for a bike that you would ride. It must be something that you are interested in, because if you purchase something that you're not keen on, you're not going to want to do the little bits and pieces to work on it. So it's very important to have a bike that you're going to use. Tip number 1 is to look for something that you will use, something that you're interested in, something that you think is pretty cool. All of the bikes I've had so far are ones that I'm into, that I think are pretty good. So that's tip number 1. Now on to tip number 2. Be ready to buy. Have the cash ready to buy a bike on the spot. So many bikes come up for sale and really cheap, ready to go, and people snap them up so quickly. So if you are the one that is ready to snap it up, you've got cash, you're ready to buy, that is what sells bikes. a quick little message. I have cash, I have a bike trailer, I will come pick it up this afternoon. Usually gets you a bike, so it is well worth being 100% ready. Having said that, look around, throw offers around. You know, the worst they can say is no, and yeah, throw offers out there that are reasonable, but where it's gonna make you profit still. You know that it's gonna make you profit, so throw lots of offers around. When they do say yes, come and have a look at it. It is very, very important. Do not commit to a sale. Go there with the intention to look at it and throw down the money if you like it, but be fully prepared to just walk away. Be prepared to walk away. If you get there and you go, this is not going to get me my profit that I want, just walk away. There is no point in buying a bike, getting it home and just going, what have I done? It's going to cost me this, this and this. So that's tip number 2, be ready to buy. Tip number 3 is to be looking at a bike with seller's eyes, not buyer's eyes. When you go to look at a bike, go over it with a fine-tooth comb, thinking that I'm going to be selling this. These are the things that I'm going to have to fix before I sell it. Don't go into it looking at it with buyer's eyes. You know, you get those sort of beer goggles going on. You're like, yeah, it's the best thing ever. Look at it with seller's eyes, fine-tooth comb, and go over it really, really carefully. You have to look at the cost cutting into your profit. Whatever the bike needs is things that you're going to have to buy. You're going to be spending your own money, which are going to cut into your profits later. So can I fix them all myself? Are they things that I can do, or is it going to be an expense in the process? So let's have a look over the Suzuki here and see what the things are with this bike that we're going to have to fix in the process. So looking over our Suzuki GS500 here with our seller's eyes. Now the first thing was the chain was super tight and it was making all sorts of clunking noises up here at the front. And this one is a big risk versus reward. We could have a totally fried gearbox or a tight chain. So I'm putting a lot of my faith into my knowledge and putting my bet on a tight chain that we need to fix, maybe replacing the chain. So continuing to look at it with seller's eyes. What are the things that people are going to pick up when they're looking at the bike? So we got sort of scuffed seating here, you know, should be able to fix that one up a bit. Then we've got faded stickers on the back. Then moving down to the front end here, you know, we're a little bit sort of rusty, a bit corroded. You're going to need a nice clean up on every part of the bike. There's a few scratches, a few scuffs on the fairing, which we're going to have to do some touch-up paint. And you can see just little things like, you know, this bar end is bent. It's all of those little bits and pieces that you want to look at and in your seller's eyes when you're buying the bike. Overall, the bike is really clean. Like, it's a really, really nice bike. It runs, it rides, it brakes, it does everything it needs to do. And they're the main things while you're looking at a bike, is to make sure that it does everything it needs to do, so you're not up for thousands of dollars to rebuild an engine or anything like that. Next little tip, when you're looking at it, tyres are very important. Tyres are a couple of $100 when you are buying straight up. So if it's got good tyres, that's a key element for sure. You don't want to be buying tyres right off the bat. Within number 3 is the next big part here. Can you fix these things yourself? Is it small cosmetic stuff that you know how to fix? Buy the bike. Is it big mechanical stuff that you don't know how to fix and you're going to have to send it off to a mechanic and pay hundreds of dollars and cut into your profit? It's time to walk away. I'm really confident fixing mechanical and cosmetic stuff, so I've got no problem buying bikes with different issues. But if you don't, it's time to walk away. Let's have a little read through the full list of stuff I've got so far for this Suzuki. First one, chain/gearbox. We know that, we spoke about it before. Tacho works sometimes, doesn't work the other times. The side stand has play in it, so it makes it a bit funny to sit up on the side stand. The bar ends we know are bent, we saw that before. The grips don't really fit on there well, so we're going to be fixing those, sorting that one out. The tail stickers I showed you before are all faded, so whether we polish, whether we get new stickers, whether we do some other solution, cheap is the key. Then we've got some random wiring going on in the tail back here. I've got Armor All everything. That's one of the keys, is just making it so clean and just spotless and ready to go. We're going to fix all the faded plastics with some of this good plastic rejuvenator that I'll show you guys later. Headlight is a bit sort of crazed and not cracked, but sort of crazed and needs a good polish and fix up there. The fairing mirror plug, I don't know what that is, but anyway, we'll find out what that one is later, I can't even remember. Respray all the black parts on the front area, it's sort of a bit rusty and a bit corroded and whatever. Rust removal on top of the forks there, we've got a bit of rust going on down on the top of the forks here and there. tidy all the scratches on the fairings. That's, you know, some touch-up paint and whatever. Scratches on the indicator, the neutral light doesn't work as well. So whether that's a bulb, whether that's a neutral light sender, we don't know. So that's the list we have so far. I know there's going to be other things as we go along and get, you know, delve right in deep into the bike, but it's now time to start work. Number one is we need to see whether this is all going to happen or not, because if this is a gearbox issue, I think this bike is getting flipped for what I sold it for what I bought it for, I should say. So we're going to put it up on the center stand, we're going to tick it over, you'll hear the sound there, and then we'll loosen off the chain, and fingers crossed that sound will go away and we'll know we need a new chain, or we just need to adjust everything and lube everything up. So let's delve into that one now. Changed in some more working type clothes here. Alright, now that we're up on the center stand, spinning the wheel here, it gets to a super tight spot, and it's obvious that the chain's way too tight. But having said all of that, when I am spinning it now with a little bit of, you know, slack off the chain, there's no funky noises coming from the front there where the gearbox is, only coming from where the chain hits a really tight spot. So there's no doubt that we need a new chain. I'm pretty confident with that, but who knows, we might be able to resurrect this one. We'll see. Yeah, right. Good job. Buddy boy. As you know, one of the hot tips about buying a bike to sell is that you've got to ride it and enjoy it. And as you can see with all the new stuff all over the bike and setup, I've been riding it a whole bunch. Unfortunately, the free chain fix, it's not worked. The chain's just had it. So I've got myself a cheap chain here. It's about $50. Not going to eat into our profits too much. So today we're going to fit up that chain and get the bike ready to ride so we can enjoy it before we sell it. Alright, not truly part of the build or anything, but I am just replacing the grips. They don't need it, but just for comfort and you know, for me riding it all the time, $10, 10 minutes worth of work sort of thing for some nice new grips here. It'll be well worth it. So just keeping things transparent so you guys can see every part of the process. Right, the new grips are fitted without the old bent bar ends, and they look fantastic. And I don't know, you don't really need bar ends if you're not doing huge big travels, and we'll see what the vibrations are like, but looks about 100 times better anyway, so it's well worth it, that little $10 modification. Cool. Alright, it's many months down the track and the bike is looking a bit dirtier and a few more add-ons, but that's because I've been riding it the whole time. My brother borrowed it for a while his car was broken, but anyway. So our next job here we're moving on to is the dash lights, something that we need for a roadworthy, but it's also something super obvious. As soon as you go and test ride the bike, you know, the blinker lights don't work, those sorts of things. So we're going to check that out and see what we can find out. Every other light and whatever doesn't work. The high beam doesn't come on. The indicators worked for a while, like as in the indicators work, but the indicator hasn't worked. It sort of works on and off sometimes. I don't know what's going on there. And the biggest one is probably the neutral light there as well. So we're going to tuck into that, see what happens. I think the first port of call is going to be to get this dash off and have a look, see if we can get to the back of these wires and see what's going on there and test some things. It's good though, that means it's just the bulb, so there's no neutral switch or anything going, which is great. So let's keep trudging on. Alright, so while we're doing these lights here, we're also going to repaint this surround because it looks a bit dodgy, and redo the little stickery bits, you know, for neutral light and indicators and whatever. So we'll whip that off, paint it up, make it look awesome, and then get some new stickers to put them down. Here she comes. Alright. Alright, we're getting up to like the cleaning stages and bits and pieces now too, while we're at all these other jobs, and it's things like, you know, just these black marks where the keys have been, and a little bit of rust here and stuff like that where it's chipped off. So, you know, just giving those a little touch-up paint,
you know, I don't know, scuffing them down a little bit, getting rid of all of those marks. And then things like, you know, it's got 3 caps for these handlebar clamps. And so, you know, you either remove the other 3 and paint all the heads of the bolts, or find one of those caps, and good luck finding one of those caps easily enough around the place. So I think we'd remove them and give them a little paint up and make them look awesome. So, yep. Alright, so something else with the bike here, the headlight's pretty hazy and not looking too special, so we're going to crisp fix this headlight. We're going to sand it, polish it, and make it look absolutely amazing. We got the headlight looking pretty amazing there compared to what it was, so yeah, very happy with that. We'll give it one last polish when we polish the rest of the bike and get all that sorted. Alright, our next quick little job here to make things look just that little bit better as you're walking around the bike as a buyer. You can see it used to have the, you know, fairing mirrors. It uses the bar mirrors. I'm not going to go and buy a set of fairing mirrors and waste money on that. Those mirrors work fine, but these do look a little bit feral. They're chunked up and whatever, and one little cap's actually missing. So what I've got here is a few of those little snap cap type things for cupboard screws and whatever else. And these seem to fit over there pretty well. I'm going to take a little dab of silicone or something like that, and on she'll stay forever, and it's going to look a whole lot better. So it's just these little things all over the bike that you want to make sure is looking amazing. So there's the other side, rusty, caps hanging off a bit and whatever. And then here's the new side, fresh, clean looking caps, and it covers right over the top of them, so that's awesome. Alright, and apart from actual cleaning up of everything, the dash area is looking absolutely fantastic. Like I said, really dirty, needs a proper clean, but you know, we've done the bolt heads, we've done the dash surround, we've done all the lights work on the dash now, which is a major thing. I'm glad we don't have to do any neutral switches or anything weird like that. So yeah, dash area is looking absolutely fantastic. It's now time to start doing some other cleanup stuff and extra bits and pieces to get this bike looking absolutely brilliant.
Alright, so you guys remember one of the first couple of tips there is about buying a bike that you'll use and love. It's about a year now. I think I've owned this bike for about a year. So I definitely have used it and loved it, and it's finally time for tip number 5. So tip number 5 is all about the selling process. First thing you want to do is wash the bike absolutely thoroughly. Once it's washed, polish every single metal part, every single aluminium part, all that sort of stuff. Armor all every single plastic part on it, and you just want to make it shine, absolutely shine. Then the next part is getting some really schmicko photos. You want to get, you know, at least, when I take photos, I'll take, I don't know, probably 30, 40, 50 photos of it just around the bike, move the bike, every single, just photo after photo. And then you pick out, you know, 5 to 10 really, really good photos, and then just smother the marketplace with the photos. Every marketplace, every Gumtree, every bike sales, everything you can, just put it up for sale in every single group and whatever. It really does help out. And then making sure that some of those original first off offers are usually quite genuine. So it's great to pretty well take those on board. If someone wants to offer you something straight up, it's usually pretty genuine. So when it first goes up for sale, it's quite good to pass the bike on, even if it's a little bit less than what you were thinking, straight away, because those guys are usually genuine buyers. So let's tuck into that process now. Let's start cleaning, polishing, and going through and fixing up everything to make it absolutely perfect. Then we'll get ready to take some photos.
Now that everything is washed and fully degreased, the bike is starting to really shine now, and it's time to go and do all of the small stuff, polish, paint, those sorts of things. Very simple things, like the end of this exhaust has a little bit of paint chipped off it there. You know, just touch up paint that. Every single little bit you can find, just touch it up, spend the time polishing it over. If you've got any chrome bits that have, you know, a little bit of, not rust, but you know, just some junk on them or whatever, bit of corrosion, give them a Scotch-Brite. Every surface you want just absolutely perfect, as best as you can get it. And then my next hot tip, thank you very much Super Cheap Auto, you're amazing. Your interior clean and protect is some of the absolute best stuff ever. I spray like the whole bike. Like everything gets sprayed down with that and wiped over, and it just absolutely shines up everything and makes it look top notch. So that's the process now, and we'll get her all looking sparkling and every tiny little bit perfected. Just polishing every single surface that's metal or painted or whatever with some auto glim. Even the plastic parts that are painted makes them come up really shiny. So when doing little touch-ups and things, it can be as small as little things like that. See that hose clamp there? Looks a tad on the rusty side. Just give that a little paint and it'll look about 1,000,000 times better. Okay, every bit of paint is touched up, every bit is polished. It's looking a lot shinier. Now it's time to give it a big old shower in this Armor All style stuff from Super Cheap Auto. Thank you very much for your support, Super Cheap Auto. Let's look at this part here in particular, this grey part here, and let's come back to that once it has been soaked, rinsed, soaked again, and then polished up with that stuff. So check it out. I wasn't lying when I said soaked in that interior cleaner. I mean absolutely soaked in it. For a couple of dollars for that bottle of cleaner, and then to be able to polish it all up looking amazing afterward, it is well worth a whole bottle of cleaner if you need to use it. I don't know if it really shows it on camera, but what once was a dusty grey is now pretty well a shiny black, but I don't know if it's showing up there properly or not. But yeah, that plastic comes up really nice with a little bit of a polish and a little bit of moisture back in it. Yeah, she's looking super shiny. Finally, we're going to take some really quality photos. Now I brought my rag out with me. Anything that I see that just doesn't look absolutely perfect, I'm going to give it a quick little wipe down and whatever while I'm taking the photos. But watch a 5-minute photo tutorial about sunlight and direction and things in the background and whatever. It might help you out a little bit to take some decent photos. So we'll get some photos while we've got some good sunlight, and should be ready to sell. Now that I've taken a whole bunch of photos, I'm going to choose the 10 best photos, create an awesome ad, flood the market with the bike, and just make sure it's 100% ready to go so the buyer can just come in, look at the bike, love it, pick it up, gone. Make it a nice, quick, easy sale for the buyer. So let's go put it up for sale and let's see what happens. Remember to wait for the right buyer. There's no pressure for you to sell it fast because you love the bike and you enjoy it. So remember that too. Alright, so I'm standing in the shed here, bikeless. The bike has been sold. It was sold a little while ago. Haven't heard anything from the new owner since, which is a great thing, but that's one of the next sort of little tip things along the way is make sure that you have a bike that you are proud of and confident that the new owner is going to get a number of years of life out of something quality that will last them. You don't want to be selling them a piece of junk that's going to blow up down the road. Anyway, up on your screen, the moment you've all been waiting for this bike here. I've gone through my history of bikes and the money that I've made, but this bike here we bought for $800. Then after that we put probably about $80 or so into it. We got the grips, the new chain, a few light bulbs and bits and pieces, and I think it ended up being about $80 in total. So the amount of hours, a few hours spent on it, wasn't like I was fixing and repainting and doing all that sort of thing. It was just tidying up, fixing the chain, doing a few little bits and pieces. It wasn't major, huge works that took 20, 40 hours or whatever. So very happy with that, with a overall profit of over $2,000. So I'm very stoked. The new owner is stoked. Everyone is happy, and yeah, we got to make some money out of it. So I'm really happy. Well, that is it for our video today. I hope you guys have learned something about the top tips, or my top tips on flipping or buying and selling any sort of bike. It could be a dirt bike, could be a road bike, whatever it is. The same rules apply realistically. So yeah, if you've learned something, don't forget to share it with all your friends. Drop it on social media as well. Share it with people on your social medias if you think that this is a valuable video that they might enjoy or learn a few things about. Do a comment below, hit the subscribe button, do all the other social media thingies on the JoeJoeMoto stuff, and I'll see you guys on the next video.